Hi folks, my name is Franco Tenelli and today we are going to discuss how to be successful in singing, or rather how to be good at singing. Here I want to clarify that I'm not talking about successful career at that moment. Let's say that career and great singing not always match, or let's say the world judgment is not always fair, claiming this or that singer on the top of the mountain. You may object and say that if the world recognizes somebody as such, it must be true then. But how actually the world recognizes this or that artist? Who says this artist should be on the top and the other lower? The tremendous mass that eventually becomes a horde of fans. I always had a great doubt in so-called fans' ability to judge independently, because when one sees even a bad performance of his idol, one still adores it, doesn't it? So who created this unconditional love for those we call fans? Let's look at the two types of attitude the people getting information. First one sounds like this. Please tell me who is a good singer, because I don't know. Second, let me hear and judge myself. If you examine carefully these two types, you will find that the first one is a great majority. If you want to find out which category you belong to, there are three good ways. Do you like a particular singer unconditionally, or sometimes you are critical about it? Second, do you like to make discoveries on your own without asking so-called experts? Number three, do you always ask who is singing before you start listening, or are you asking it after? So you see, these questions may clarify which category you belong to. The first one, please tell me who is a good singer because I don't know. Or the second one, let me hear and judge myself. Of course, we can go deeply into the subject, but our goal in this program is not about career and politics, but about great singing. First, one has to have a talent, of course. Voice, good ear, memory, so on. And also a great desire to become a singer. Desire can have two or more motivations. The first motivation, true love for singing. That motivation is internal or inner. Second, great career, success, fame. This is the outer motivation. It could be a silly motivation too, which sounds very, very serious to you. My mom always pictured me on the opera stage. I can't fail my mom, especially after she died. You see, outer imposed by somebody else's will. Last two that I mentioned have nothing to do with the singing itself. They can motivate you externally but not inwardly. But in the first one, you can simply just remain so-called shower singer. I think that intelligent singers understand that there should be the combination of the first and the second motivations. Right now, I'd like to share some thoughts about how to achieve this first thing. One may say there is nothing to achieve if you already have it. And if you don't have it, then you'll never achieve it. Sounds like catch-22. Now, let me ask you a deep question. Should be the singer different from his singing that causes duality between them? Or the singer and his actions or singing are identical? Of course, I mean during the singing process. You may say yes, as an image it can be. But an image is also a duality, isn't it? Not by an image, but as a whole. Can humans transcend this duality, come to oneness, meaning that singer is not separate from singing? To my experience, great singers had this enormous oneness. Sometimes that is called an ability to totally concentrate on the action, on the moment, being fully now. Sometimes it's called inspiration. You can call it whatever you like. That's not the point. How do we get there? So we came to the point of saying that action should be not separate from the actor. Actor becomes the act itself, and not through some kind of a discipline, but as naturally as possible. Then, if it's not a discipline, how can it be possibly achieved? Honestly, it can't be achieved. It can be only accepted when it comes. Then you may say it's either very easy or impossible. Easy because it comes naturally. Impossible because if it doesn't come naturally, then it will never come. But our wisdom is to clearly see when it comes and just enter it, be it. Every talented singer has it, but afraid to let it go because all his life he or she were taught to study hard, play correct notes, listen to the coaches, and then you will get it. Well, some believe you either have it or not at all. It's like, this is talented people and this is not talented people. I believe it's still a mystery. For example, when you're a child, it's just there. When you grow up, you may lose it. Like Robertino Loretti, one of the most wonderful kids I've ever heard. After his puberty, he got his voice back, baritone, but never became even close to what he used to be when he was a child. Or you may have it quite late, like Richard Wagner. But the real question why you here is to find out if it's possible to have some pointers towards this state, sometimes called inspirational state of mind, rather than just saying, let's wait for it. Well, since it's a natural state and it has all attributes of reality, let's say that's the best way to expect it is when you don't expect it. It might seem so natural and easy, then after being disciplined for many years, you might find it bizarre and unnatural to you. Strange, isn't it? Maybe we forgot that we are all poets, not just singers, and a good poet never writes a great poem on the demand. He waits for the moment and writes it down immediately because the moment can go easily away. He calls it an inspiration. So the first thing to achieve that state of inspiration, it requires full confidence or fearlessness that conditions your mind to avoid unknown territory. Second is linked to the first. After not having fear, you can easily enter the state of true love towards what you do, not formally, not in theory, but as a whole human being. What we all being taught in our conservatories, techniques and styles, but few point out at rubato because rubato is a personal thing. It cannot be taught. I agree, it cannot be taught, but creativity is never encouraged in such institutions. More, rubato is strictly forbidden by academicians and theoretically allowed to be sometimes in the future, vaguely when you are a great musician. Rubato is not of a musical nature. It has much deeper roots in our psyche. It lies where creativity lies, and creativity is not conditioned, is never conditioned. It comes directly from your freedom, of course, if you have it. So you see that our own education is the reason of our conditioning and holds us back when we want to be free. Definitely, we learn from conservatories certain particular styles and particular techniques, but I'm talking about true interpretation. To enter this free zone, you got to be free first, inwardly, not to be afraid to do something on your own. It's a big lie when musicians say it's not about you, it's about the composer's intention, or it's about the reading the score correctly. It's another lie. If you accept that, you simply become a skillful robot. Kasparov left the chess when he was beaten by Deep Blue Machine, realizing that chess is merely mechanical. Strictly speaking, a classical singer cannot be creative per se, of course. He just interprets, but either mechanically and following the score to the letter, or with the whole being becoming the composer and interpreter at the moment of the performance. You have to safely but constantly experiment with your voice, apart from your teacher or theory. You will not know your voice if you don't do it. That's what Caruso said. Louis Quilico, the great Canadian baritone, also said such a thing that, sure, somebody has to help you in your technique and stuff, but without knowing your own voice, you're not going too far. Don't be naive to think that even having a great teacher, you will have all the answers answered. You have to do your own homework too. Make your studies or lessons as an assisted experiment with your teacher. That's the best way of learning. Do not separate you and singing in the process of singing. Start pre-warm-ups at having fun with resonance, allowing yourself that you've been denied for many years, freedom of exploration of your own territory. Start warming up with the same attitude of freedom. Find your own tempo that suits gradual integration of your sound into your whole psyche. Sing something technically easy in at least 3 different tempis, then with rallentando or accelerando. And when you see, even there, if you don't have the freedom, you won't be able to interpret. This is an example how to develop rubato with a Chopin piano piece. First, learn the way it is written. Second, find 3 different tempos. And fool around with rallentandos and accelerandos. Learn that rubato is tightly connected with freedom of a rhythm. Let's take now the vocal piece O cessate di piegarmi and do the same thing. Strict metronomic tempo. Then slow it down, almost changing the character of the piece. Do it very fast. Develop free rhythm attitude. Try to put the sense every word you are singing, and then try not to think in terms of words at all. And then later try to just have a general sense of what you're doing. Experiment with this and that, and you will find the best outcome. It could not be possible that no matter what theories or academicians are saying, you may be a better singer using one of the above-mentioned attitudes, either thinking or feeling. Of course, it will depend on the piece itself. I have this tremendous opposition to those coaches who think that a singer must think while he's singing. Or in other words, he had to mean every word he pronounces. And I repeat, this is not true, though it's kind of even shameful to talk and argue with that, because it seems like superior way of doing the music is thinking and being a great musician, connecting the words with emotions. But from my experience, it rather causes more mechanical understanding, depending of course on the piece that you're singing. If you're talking about recitativo style or even some German Lieder, that might be more true of meaning every word you're saying. But if you're talking about bel canto, The words may be actually your enemies of interpretation, because most of the bel canto's arias were not written for understanding but for feelings, and the words were just mere pointers. I hope these observations and our discussions will help you to become a better singer. Thank you very much.